Warm welcome to the first in a new and exclusive series of Asia Pacific Golf Confederation webinars. After a tumultuous 2 years where we've all been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, it's fabulous news that the month of November will see the staging of the 12th Asia Pacific Amateur Championship and the 3rd Women's Amateur Asia Pacific. To tee off our series, it's fitting, therefore, that our first guest is Taimur Hassan Amin, Chairman of the APGC. Before we set the scene for those events in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, can you tell us about some of the challenges that you and the APGC has faced since the start of 2020?
Good morning, Spencer. Thank you very much for giving me the honor of being the first guest on your inaugural webinar broadcasting for the APGC. I mean, you know, when we look back, we were elected, our board and I was elected in September 2019, and this horrible disease started in 2019 December, and after that it's been one postponement after another, one delay after another. We have tried very hard to overcome some of them. We've been talking to governments, we've been talking to golf federations, to everybody to try and host our events. But it's been quite a difficult time. I would also like to express my heartfelt condolences to all the people who have lost their near and dear ones. Our fellow golfers. I don't think anybody has been spared around the world with the amount of suffering that's been going on, and it still continues. Although we have learned to overcome some of it, and the scientific world has been able to provide some protection and whatever else, but we're still suffering. So I hope we can overcome all this. And it's now coming back to golf. That's the great news, that we finally, after 2 years, we have moved our events to the Middle East. It'll be very grateful to the Emirates Golf Association for giving us this opportunity, for going through the difficulty of organizing these events in those areas, facing all the difficulties, that the vaccination, the quarantine, the bubble, whatever it is, but we are having the events, and it's a great, I think it's a very good gesture for them to host us. And hopefully we should have a very successful 2 weeks.
Despite enduring many of the frustrations and disappointments, the APGC has had numerous memorable moments to savor over the last 2 years. We've had Hideki Matsuyama winning the US Masters, CT Pan's bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics, and the major LPGA titles for Patti Tavatanakit and Yuka Saso. We've also had men's World Amateur Golf Ranking #1 Keita Nakajima crowned as the winner of the Mark McCormack Medal, Tsubasa Kajitani winning the Augusta National Women's Amateur, and Attia Titiko dominating the Ladies European Tour. That's a mighty impressive list that must make you especially proud, given that they've all progressed from APGC events.
Well, I mean, it is a very proud moment for us and all my predecessors, the chairmen who've actually made this happen. To have our own champions of the Asia Pacific go ahead and win the Masters is just unbelievable. But I think the credit should be given, and we must mention Chairman Billy Payne, our chairman Tommy Lee, the one who followed, Dr. David Cherry, K. Muratsu. You know, a lot of people were involved in the setting up of this event, to think about it, to create heroes, to give the opportunity. The biggest advantage is that finally these kids have the opportunity to dream. And when you have the opportunity to dream, you have the passion, and then the reward of going to play these big events is phenomenal. So they get the opportunity at a very early age. So by the time they decide to turn professional, they've already had the experience to play at to play in the big field events, where you're televised in 150 countries. You're treated like stars, and so it's a great move forward. Obviously, all these champions that we produced, I wish them luck. I wish them more success, and I think they are great role models for our younger players to follow.
And we'll be starting off at the Dubai Creek Golf and Yacht Club from November the 3rd to the 6th with the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship. And we'll see Lin Yuzin of China bidding for an unprecedented third title. Only Hideki Matsuyama has won twice. We'll have Keita Nakajima, the Japanese world number one. It really is a fabulous world-class field. What are your hopes and expectations for the week, Taimur?
Well, like I said, Spencer, the most important thing is that they know that they have the opportunity of playing, Grand Slam events, playing the Open, playing Augusta, playing the Japanese Open. They get invited to the Korean Open. Lots of doors are open for them. The ladies, obviously, they go and play the Evian, they go and play the LPGA, they play the British Open for ladies. So the opportunities are endless, and they've seen the success that their seniors have had, and so it's a great sort of goal for them to follow those guidelines. And I'm expecting a very high standard of golf. I'm expecting, obviously, the golf courses are beautiful. The whole city is Abu Dhabi and Dubai are all set up for it. The clubs are absolute. They've been hosting European Tour events, for the last 20, 30 years, so that they know what they're doing. And obviously, the youngsters feel that whoever's going to sort of win is going to have the opportunity of playing all these great events, and playing with the professionals that they never thought was possible.
No, absolutely incredible opportunities that the APGC, the RNA, and the Masters Tournament are providing for these very lucky youngsters. It must make you quite jealous, Taimur, you having been such a great player yourself 40, 50 years ago.
Well, I won at that time the equivalent of the Asian Championship was the Nomura Cup. So if you won the individual of the Nomura Cup, which I fortunately won, we just came back and 20 guys showed up and they said, well done. That was it. But today the opportunities are endless, and I'm very 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 thankful and grateful to the RNA and our partners, the RNA and Augusta National, and all our board members, all our member countries, for supporting us in producing these champions. Because when people don't realize that the nursery for all the professional leagues are all in the amateur tournaments, and all these national federations, they develop all these champions, and they get no credit for it because they just move on to the professionals. The professional tours get this ready-made product, and I wish they would put some money back into helping all these federations and countries to keep these opportunities going for the kids.
Yes. Following the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship, we'll be moving on to the Abu Dhabi Golf Club for the Women's Amateur Asia Pacific. That will take place from November the 10th to the 13th. The WAAP has been developed by the APGC together with the RNA to nurture talent and provide a pathway for the region's elite women amateurs to the international stage, and the opportunity, as you've mentioned, to play in two major golf championships. It's incredible, Taimur, to think that this is only the third year or the third staging of this tournament. Have you been surprised at how quickly that it has established itself?
Actually, I'm not at all surprised, because don't forget that all the leading, champions on all the, especially the ladies champions, are from Japan and Korea, from our region. So obviously we are doing something. Those countries are doing something which is actually what was needed. What with the success of the Asian Amateur on the men's side, I think the RNA and us, we put together this idea that we should have a similar one for the ladies. And because the standard is so high in our region, that giving this opportunity to them has really I've spoken to a lot of the young ladies who played, and we spoke to Yuka when we last played in Sentosa, and she was so happy with the arrangements, with all the facilities, with all the opportunities that they're going to get, and they get a chance to play with all the top amateur players before they can all, and then they can gauge themselves as to how good they are, whether they should turn pro at a given time. And we've had great success, and there is no reason for the new crop not to push these. I mean, don't forget, the ones who are already there are in their early 20s, so they're very young. So the ones who are pushing them are only a couple of years younger than them. But I think it's a great, there's nothing more than an opportunity, a great opportunity for all of them, and they should utilize it and live their dream.
And for all the youngsters taking part in both the men's and the women's, I think they only have to look, as you say, at what Patty, Yuka, and Atia have achieved. And bear in mind, all three of those played in the inaugural women's amateur Asia Pacific at Sentosa in Singapore in 2018. And it is remarkable, only 19, and she's already won the US Open this year. That gives the other players in the field the incentive time, or to work harder and to really look to move on their careers.
Well, this is an opportunity. This is, again, it's like I said earlier, that this is an opportunity, and I think now that hopefully this pandemic is under control, so traveling will become easier and less cumbersome, and because the parents are very concerned about their children, not getting this, and the amount of documentation that's now required to travel. So hopefully when things get better, it'll become easier. But that doesn't stop them from working harder, and I'm sure that they have because there's so much more available now, in form of coaching, in form of training, in form of equipment, and there's so much there to guide them. And now that they have friends on the tour who help the new ones come on it, to explain how to get by, I think there's great future for the youth of our region.
Well, one of the interesting topics that's always up for discussion, and I know is close to your heart, is how young some of these guys now turn professional. What are your thoughts, Taimur, in terms of particularly those who have the opportunity to maybe go to college and play for a few years there? Do you think that's preferable to turning pro while you're still...
Matsuyama is a classic example, because Ishikawa, they played about the same time. They played against each other. They were juniors, and they played. And Ishikawa turned pro and didn't go to college, and Matsuyama went to college and then graduated from there. So I am absolutely for. I think some of our kids turn pro too soon. I think we need to have somebody to guide them. We need to tell them, because playing good amateur golf is no guarantee for being successful on the tour. because the pressures on the tour are completely different. So if you spend time in college, you get matured, you can mature more. You play college golf, you enjoy your college golf life, your colleagues, the team events. So I think we should definitely discourage the kids turning pro too soon. I know some of them have parental pressure. Some of them feel that they are ready to go, but you know, there's so many examples of great amateur golfers who just couldn't make it on the profession because there's so much more involved on the tour. It's a difficult life. It's great when you're a star, but for the struggling pro, it's not easy. It's very expensive. It's difficult. Traveling, living alone, the frustration of not playing well, seeing others do better. Who you were thrashing while you were amateur golfers. These are all things that have to be considered. And I think definitely they should definitely you know first they should graduate from school, must. And if they must turn pro, then fine, at least they've gone to high school. But I think a college break would be a great step to develop them to become even better. Look at the American players. Most of them have come out of the college system. So they obviously we have a pattern that is successful, and there is no reason not to follow that. We must try and keep our youth educated as far as possible, and then obviously they can play. They can if they don't. There's no need to turn pro at 19. You can turn pro at 22, and you've gone through a great training process, a great life with your college friends, many memories of college and university. So I think that there is definitely um, there's definitely an opportunity for them to go and play pro golf. But I think college and school is a must. They must try and do that, and we must try and help them with their career planning.
You mentioned Matsuyama, and in fact, I think proving your point, he actually won on the Japan tour while he was still an amateur, and two guys
Absolutely.
who were following him, Takuma Kanaya, who, as you know, also
Yes.
won the amateur, and he
Yes.
turned pro last year, but he had won, and also this year Nakajima has won on the Japan tour, pro tour while still an amateur and while still at university. So I think they are setting an excellent example.
Absolutely.
Now, also taking place during the 2 week stint in the Middle East will be the APGC's annual general meeting.
Yes.
Are you in a position to say whether you and the rest of the board of directors will be remaining in place for another term? And what other exciting items are on the agenda?
Well, because we have not met, because travel was not possible, and the election process could not be followed on Zoom or anything. So what we decided to do in one of our Zoom meetings was to give an extension of the same board for a year. And then what we plan to do is, the minute we have, like the Nomura Cup, is the Queen Syndicate is going to be played in May, and followed by the Nomura Cup in Hong Kong. So instead of waiting for a year, the first opportunity we get where all the member countries, can send reps and everybody, then we will move forward our election process. But to avoid any chaos and any administrative, issues, because we are responsible to our partners, to the RNA, to the Augusta National, where we are involved in all these events. And if suddenly there's a hole in it just because the election was not held, so that's why we bridge this with an extension, and hopefully we will get the extension approved by in the AGM, and we'll have the election the first possible opportunity when everybody's together. We're going to have the bring forth our election for the next term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, during this downtime of the past 2 years, the APGC has grasped the opportunity to beef up its communication platform. It launched a new and improved website and a Twitter account. We now have a monthly newsletter. And I know these were things, Taimur, that you were keen to implement during your tenure and have always been close to your heart. So you must be pleased with those developments.
Well, like I said, Spencer, first, it would be definitely worth mentioning that Nick Shen is the one who introduced you to me. So I'm grateful for that. I am also grateful to have a senior golfing newsman to be our communications point man. And I think it's been very, because you see in today's world, all the youth has got their phones. They want the information. They want updated. They don't want to go to another site. Why shouldn't they come to their own site? So we had to have an interactive, website where there's information being uploaded regularly. So we've spent many hours, the three of us have spent many hours in trying to see what we want and test it. And then, with communications and distances and, Australia and Singapore and Pakistan. And so we have, but I think I'm grateful to you for doing a fine job. I think we've got some very good reviews. We've got a lot of hits um, um, in on the website. The people are now following it on Twitter. We haven't had any events, so the whole thing is that now that we are going to have an event, so we'll have our own um, uh, tournaments to put on the website. Um, I think the important thing is that it's updated, it's successful. And one of the things I would like to definitely, and I'm going to bring it up at the AGM, is that I would like that we use this platform for scheduling, for scheduling regional events where a lot of the neighboring countries would be able to go and play on their national championships. So, in the Middle East, there are, 14, 15 countries that are our members. And if they can go and play their own events, we get a lot of world ranking points. So to get more people to come, to more people to take part, or a better quality higher quality of players because they'll have the opportunity of playing national championships. And so we need to coordinate the schedules with all these national associations. And it is so the website can be very useful in that. And then I would encourage them all to put their national championship information on the website, so that when they have results there, the others can see that they are playing in Nepal, or they're playing in Bangladesh, or they're playing in Sri Lanka or any other place. And that it would encourage the neighboring countries to visit them. And because you see, our focus now, there's nothing we can teach the Japanese or the Koreans or the Australians, all the developed countries, but we can use all their experience and all their history and their knowledge to help our less developed golf countries to get them to a higher stage. And the website is a very, very important tool in where we could share information and help all these countries.
Good to hear. You've mentioned briefly about the Queen's Surrogate Cup and the Nomura Cup and the plans for them to go ahead in 2022. With the travel and quarantine restrictions now gradually being eased around the region, can we expect, and are you confident that we'll see a few more APGC events return to the calendar next year?
Well, we planned everything. The one big tournament, I mean, we missed all our tournaments, but the one big exciting event that we tried very hard with the European Golf Association to host was the Bonalic Trophy, the Patsy Hensigen Bonalic Trophy, which is a Ryder Cup format between Europe and Asia Pacific. It's a great event. We've had some great players take part in it. It's very exciting, but again, because of this pandemic, I spoken to the president of EGA, and we tried very hard. We even volunteered to host it, or even if it wasn't our turn, we said we'll host it, and the Malaysian Golf Association graciously agreed to be the host. But it just the quarantine problem and travel problem is just too much. Hopefully, we've got a full schedule all marked out right now for all our events, and there's nothing we can say right now. The way things are, um, we should be able to hold them unless there's a unfortunate spike in the and because it's evidently it's started to come back again, and they've had a lot of new cases, and some new strain has. I just heard about it a couple of days ago. There's some new strain around, and so it just depends on the situation around the world. But we are very keen that we hold our events regularly, and give them all the opportunity of playing.
And just following up on that, so that people are aware, in addition to the Benalak Trophy and the Asia Pacific Amateur and the Women's, we have the Nomura Cup and the Queen Turika Cup, which are team events. And then we also have junior events and senior events as well.
Yes, we have the APGC Junior to be held in China this year, not this year, next year in September 2022. We have the Asian Games. So that's an addition in the coming years and then the next year. We also have the Diamond Cup, which is played in Japan. It's scheduled to be held in May, where we get to send 10 top amateurs. So that's a great opportunity for them. We do invite. We get some invitation for the Korean Open. So there's a lot of things to look forward to, but then it just depends on this one issue.
Yeah, as many of our listeners and viewers will know, the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation is associated with 46 male and female national golf associations and federations all across our Asia Pacific region. It's one of the biggest organizations, I think, in the world of golf. To sign off for today, Taimur, what message would you have for golfers and for everyone in those countries who's endured these hard times and hopefully can look ahead to better times as we move forward?
Well, Spencer, the one thing that I hope is that we've suffered the last 2 years being cooped up in our houses. We play a beautiful game, which which a lot of the golf courses were open. I think golf took a big boom during this pandemic, and the message is that keep working hard, keep trying, keep giving the opportunities to your young players, keep developing them, and hopefully we will be there to assist them to achieve their goals and dreams. I am grateful to all our sponsors, to all our partners, the RNA and Augusta National, for their continued support and their continued drive for excellence and higher quality, and to interact with all of us and all the federations, and to keep going. And hopefully we'll see you all in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi, and then the following year we're looking forward to a full season.
Well, that's an appropriate note on which to finish. Thank you very much for your thoughts and insights, Taimur. We look forward to welcoming you back for an update on all APGC matters in the months ahead. Safe travels, and we'll speak soon.
It'll be my pleasure whenever you want. Thanks, Spencer.